Your question's better than Drever's.
Yeah. They've had to put up with me for quite a few years. Yes, sir. Are there any tracks that MotoAmerica does not go to that they would like to go to, Josh? You've raced them all.
Not all of them, but I've hit a lot of them. You know, we disappeared from a few tracks and come back a few times, which has been good. And, I still think that there's one Southern California. We need a Southern California race. And I don't think it's the perfect racetrack, but, you know, Willow Springs had its issues, but at the same time, spectator friendly, man. You can see such a cool race around there with potential for good racing. And if we were going to go back there, I think that would be my preference over Cal Speedway or something like that. It's still pretty far out there, but the camping environment was always awesome. You can sit along the backside of the track and see so much of the track. I think that would be, you know, a good move possibly in the future.
I'd like to see if they could make some changes in Mid-Ohio back on the schedule. You know, we always had a good crowd there, always had good racing, and also another track that was really friendly to the spectators. You could sit on the heels and see a lot. So definitely would be cool if that track could come back, but you know, they got to make a few adjustments for safety.
I think, yeah, like Rod said, Mid-Ohio is a lot of fun. I personally think it'd be kind of cool to go back to Daytona on 600s and have a true Daytona 200 again. All of us on 600s. I think that'd be a pretty cool event.
Of course, the biggest problem with going to a lot of the tracks is safety. You know, these guys have gotten so much faster that, and one of the things that MotoAmerica did was partner with tracks where we could race under any conditions. You as fans don't like to spend your money or make the effort to go to a racetrack, and then if it rains, we can't race. So with MotoAmerica, every track it's possible to race in the rain. Here they took a little bit of a chance because it doesn't rain that much up here, and even though there are a couple of places where it might be a little sketchy if it did rain, that's the interest of safety. We want these guys to be able to, even if they fall down, to be able to get up and race again the next time around. So that's really the issue. It's safety, rider safety. It has nothing to do with how cool a track it is or whether we want to turn our back on a fan base or anything like that. So that's really the issue. Any more questions? We got a few more minutes. Now, these guys are going to have to go to work, and so am I. Yes, sir.
What do you guys think of Roy Holster?
What do we think of Roy Holster? I'll tell you what I think. He's got great jelly beans. I got a box, I got a package of them here in my pocket. Roy Holster on the Jelly Bellies giving out jelly beans. I love the guy. I love the guy. Anybody else? He's 53 years old. So that's an inspiration to you. And unless Steve Zamora shows up, who's 62 and made the main event a couple of times, we do have some Walter Mitty stories out there. It's not just a young man's game. So we enjoy that. Anybody else? Anybody else with a question before we let these guys go back to work? Yes, sir. What is the effect of temperature on tires, I think, is a question? Cold air and then the hot sun.
It's actually, it's funny how this works, but it's the opposite of what most people think. When it's really cold in the mornings and things like that, we actually have to go to a harder option tire. The softer tire has a tendency to tear. And once that happens, it's really difficult to ride the motorcycle. I mean, to continue just riding the motorcycle halfway good. And the harder tire will actually be a bit more durable through that session and things like that. As the suns come out, you know, track temperature and air temperature are quite a bit different. So if the sun comes out and beams on the racetrack, it'll get it to a temperature where the softer tires will work better over a longer period of time. So we do keep an eye on it. Usually we've not taken any chances on that because if it does tend to tear, it's your race is over at that point. So we'll tend to go on the more lenient, safe side and go with the harder option that's a bit more steady throughout the race.
Anybody else? Great answer, Josh. Thanks. Thanks. You know, that's a question for the Dunlop guys often too. Yes, yes, young man. Help me out. I didn't hear him. Come on up. Have races ever been canceled because of the weather? Yes, yes, yes. Everybody knows the answer to that has been yes. At certain tracks like Mid-Ohio, there have been races canceled because rain just makes it an unsafe situation. It's almost like a pass-fail, right, Josh?
The big one that stands out was Loudon, New Hampshire, which was back in, 2001.
Yeah, I was there.
It was an unsafe condition that they wanted to run the race anyway, and all the riders kind of decided we weren't going to ride. And unfortunately, we never went back to race there again. So
right.
It was very unfortunate. It was sad for the racers. It was sad for the fans. Nobody wins in that situation. So it's something that we try to avoid the best that we can by making sure that track safety on the track side is trying to improve, and we don't outgrow these racetracks for these conditions. And so when we love going to all these different options for racetracks. We want to race as many different tracks as we can, and we all just have to try to figure out how to work together. Airfence has added and implemented, that creates a better situation for us, but it just can't fix every situation.
Yeah, I was there in Loudon. If you go back and look through the record book, most of the riders decided not to race. A few did, the local guys, and Scott Greenwood, who may not have ever won an AMA National, is in the record books as having done so. Scott is kind of a Loudon specialist, and as Josh said, we never went back to Loudon, New Hampshire, which is a shame because as much as we need a Southern California race, we need something else up in the far northeast. The New Jersey Motorsports Park, which is coming up 2 rounds from now, is helping to fill that void. One last question, if anybody's got one. If anybody's got one, it's my job. Oh, nobody has a question? Yes, sir. One got one over here.
Is it true you have a 60-year-old competitor?
53-year-old Roy Holster on the number 46 Jelly Belly bike. And then, what's that?
I was just going to say Josh is closing it.
Josh is, burn.
I was it was funny that Dreb was mentioning some age kind of things the other day, because at some point, Cameron competes against me a lot, and I think it was after I knocked him down in Atlanta, which was more a respect thing. Hey son, you're going to respect me. Just kidding. But at one point we were having a discussion, and I was like, I could be your father, and he kind of laughed it off, and I go, no. If I started young, if I was 18 years old and had a kid, it'd be you. So, it's unfortunate, but it's true.
So there is a rider, has been a rider this season. His name is Steve Zumaris. We call him Zoomer, and he's 62 years old. He just started racing like 3 years ago. So we're talking about not only does he not have a lot of experience on the track, but he's also a lot older than what a lot of people would do. And he just missed making the main event, I think, in Utah. And then he did make the race in at Laguna Seca.
He's a personal friend and probably the hardest human being I've ever met in my life. Broke his back at Chuckwalla and drove home before he went to have surgery.
Yikes.
He's a hard man.
There you go.
One last question.
Yes, sir.
Is it true you're thinking of ski biking in off-season to stay in practice?
What? I'm sorry?
Cameron.
Oh, Cameron.
Ski biking. Is it true you're thinking of ski biking outside of the season so you can stay in practice?
I've never ski biked. Or I've done a little bit of jet skis. It's fun, but I'll try it.
Anything with an engine and a throttle, I'm pretty sure. Hey, let's give these 3 guys a nice big round of applause.